Next on the Oscar-nominated list for this year, nominated for 7 of them, including Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, Best Makeup, and Best Picture, we have Bradley Cooper's Maestro, released by Netflix along with Spielberg's own Amblin Entertainment, starring Bradley Cooper as the Maestro, Leonard Bernstein. Also directed by Bradley Cooper, co-written by Bradley Cooper, and what do you know, also co-produced by Bradley Cooper. Yes, indeed, the one-man band strikes again after the well-done and well-received A Star is Born. Here he returns to the director's chair for the second time with clearly such heart and soul invested, guiding not really a soul story of the great American composer, conductor Leonard Bernstein and his rise to the Emmy, Tony, and multiple Grammy Award-winning icon that we all love, the genius behind the music of West Side Story and On the Waterfront, among many other compositions, but really the love story between Lenny and his wife of 27 years, actress Felicia Montealegre, played wonderfully by Carey Mulligan, even though his genius is also filled with his double life of gay lovers. Originally, Martin Scorsese was slated to direct, and God, how much more amazing that would have been than Spielberg was going to direct. But they only ended up producing, so Cooper thought he'd give it a shot, especially after showing Spielberg a cut of A Star is Born. Cooper said he was always inspired to conduct, ever since he watched the fantastic What's Opera doc, Bugs Bunny conducting the orchestra, and asked Santa for a baton to practice and play with conducting. Okay, folks, here's the rub with this. I like Bradley Cooper. I really do. I've liked him ever since The Hangover, and movie by movie, it only grew from all of his Oscar-nominated turns, from Silver Linings Playbook to my favorite performance from him still to this day in American Hustle, American Sniper, A Star is Born, and now here with Maestro. But if you ask me, this film as a whole was such a showcase of pretentious effort that really just tells the audience, look at me, I'm Bradley Cooper, and look what I'm doing. Cooper just comes off as an artist that is just so far up his own ass that it just becomes a distraction. The many scenes of him conducting as Bernstein just becomes so damn distracting, especially the Mahler's resurrection performance in the Ely Cathedral, which I will agree is shot beautifully. And I know Bernstein was definitely a boisterous and completely passionate conductor. You can see the real footage indeed that he was. But for some reason, Cooper's recreation and practically overly smiley replica of it is just too distracting from the utter power of it. However, nothing will ever stop the amazing power of Mahler's symphony, which makes that scene so damn beautiful. And yes, anyone who's anyone should applaud Cooper's fantastic effort of conducting that orchestra live in camera. He actually said it was the biggest scene he was worried about because of the fact of recording it live in the cathedral. But apparently Cooper worked on conducting professionally and efficiently for 6 years, so he could perfect the moves completely and accurately. On that note, again, as a director, there are certainly some shots that are really well executed, but since Cooper is in it about 90% of the film in front of the camera, DP Matthew Libatique would have to take care of the main shot sequences. I will admit, the sequence in the beginning where Lenny receives the call to conduct the Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall, and then leading into the one overhead tracking shot into the theater, which obviously turns into CGI, is still well guided, while his score for On the Waterfront is playing. The lighting, of course, is gorgeous. Matthew Libatique being a frequent collaborator of Darren Aronofsky's, and last worked with Cooper on A Star is Born, his light setups are just so on point. Wardrobe is quite efficient indeed. Sound design, I think, is very important, especially given to the conducting and performance scenes, which are handled very, very well. I mean, once again, that Mahler Symphony scene is one that audiences and artists will definitely remember from this film, aside from, in my opinion, the greatest aspect of this film, and that is Carey Mulligan's brilliant performance as Felicia. She completely grounds and holds the film together with her truth, her strength, her purpose to become a great artist herself. But you can see how in those times she had to hold back and serve as the support for Lenny. Each scene is much better with her in it. Even that completely cheesy scene where they're watching a performance of On the Town on the stage itself, and when Lenny is all of a sudden performing in the show, I mean, it really feels like Cooper's indulgence of being Gene Kelly, which you can't do, buddy. I'm sorry, there can only be one Gene Kelly. But hands down, in my opinion, the best scene in the whole film is the truth scene during the Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving in the bedroom. And Carey lets loose on Bradley with such class, and ending it with, "If you're not careful, you're going to die a lonely old queen." And perfectly timing with the Snoopy float flying by behind them outside. Now, don't get me wrong, Bradley does give a good performance, despite being so super showy. He does match her very well in that scene alone, but there are other moments when he's smaller and simpler, which I appreciate very, very much. Now, I get it. Once again, he was a larger-than-life composer, apparently. But God, Bradley, you don't need to work so hard to do it, which is why it would always help to just direct and not act at the same time. Some can do it, obviously, when they act and direct at the same time, but sometimes you can only do one job perfectly. The whole makeup controversy with Lenny's nose, I mean, it really isn't that big of a deal to me. Bradley even said he didn't really need it, since he saw his nose was already pretty identical to Bernstein. But the makeup department said it wouldn't work as well when Lenny aged in the 80s timeline. But it worked out well, and it wasn't even noticeable to me. I mean, was it to you? Bradley Cooper is a hardworking director. I mean, hell, a hardworking artist. We can all see that. But the final product just could have been so much better. Instead of a real, lovely, stylistic take on one of America's greatest composers, we really got just a collection of scenes that doesn't really carry and land the film to something interesting and necessarily fully captivating. However, I'll always applaud Effort, with its $80 million budget receiving box office records of only $820,000 without any final number announcement from Netflix. I mean, that's horrendously bad. I started to think, where did all that money go? I know he filmed majority in New York, but my God. All in all, folks, I give Maestro a B. Above average because of everyone's effort involved, but it just could have been so much better. If I predict any Oscar wins for this film of its 7, I think the only one that potentially really has a chance might be Best Sound. The use of sound and the scoring is guided really beautifully, I will say. However, I have not seen The Zone of Interest just yet, so I hear that has all the love for Best Sound, so we shall see. But tell me, my friends, have you seen Maestro? What did you think of it? List in the comments, like and share with all your friends. Please, oh please, stay tuned for more to come, and in the meantime, keep supporting film, no matter what. Any questions?